You and Brock were both big fans of Leroy Abernathy.
That's true. He was a great poet. Mm-hmm. He knew how to put words together that flowed so freely when you sang it.
And he sang well.
The things you see every day, they don't just happen that way. Oh, it's a miracle age.
He really wrote that song when he had a group called the Miracle Men,
right?
Wasn't it?
Yes.
But for him to do that tight harmony on "Oh, it's a miracle," that would be on the number system. That would be a 4, 6, 1, and a 3 flat, right?
That's right.
And you taught me all of that. For those who don't know, this has been a wonderful music experience for me to learn the number system. Most of us grew up reading letters.
Yes.
And probably Leroy was writing before the number system was invented, wasn't he?
Oh, yes.
Because he was back in the do, re, mi system, wasn't he?
Right. Shape notes and the syllables and that sort of thing. So I never heard him talk in terms of the number system.
But I tell you what, he could write great harmony.
He sure could.
With the Spears all of those years, Ben, you took a lot of the leads, didn't you?
Yes. Most of them, I guess. Yes, yeah. Right.
Leroy used to talk about a signature sound for the lead singer. The lead singer makes the sound, which the group is known for. And one thing sure, when they heard your voice, they knew that was the Speer family.
Well, I had a recording engineer tell me one time, said, "Don't ever have your sinuses worked on, you'll ruin your sound."
Did you have somebody when you were a kid that you looked up to as far as singing was concerned, and you kind of wanted to sing like he did?
Oh, I think Bing Crosby.
Huh?
Yeah.
Because everybody listens to somebody on the radio.
That's true.
When they are kids and say, "I like to sing like that." You also have a little bit of Gene Autry in there too, don't you?
You know what? I never realized that till only about 5 years ago. I was out in California and sang, and some lady told me that, said, "You sure sound a lot like Gene Autry." And that's a compliment to me too, because I'm a fan of his.
Growing up in the 40s and the early 50s, the radio was their friend because we got all of our information, all of our news from the radio. I can remember as a little kid in 45 when I heard on the radio the war was over.
Right.
And the boys were coming home, and I could hear the parade in New York City and all the noise and saying our troops are coming home. But I also heard my first gospel song on the radio, and you've heard the story so many times,
yeah.
Every night. But living up north, the radio was very important.
Right.
And you started doing radio broadcasts when?
In 1941 or 2, something like that. We lived in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, and Dad worked for the Vaughn Music Company there. Mm-hmm. Well, he switched over then and started writing for Stamps Baxter. Mm-hmm. And they wanted us to find a place where we could have a radio program to advertise, to sing the songs, perform the songs that's in their songbooks and that sort of thing. And Dad found WSFA in Montgomery, Alabama, got a contract to do a radio program for 15 minutes early morning, 6 o'clock or 6:15, somewhere along in that time frame. So we moved to Montgomery and lived there for 5 years, from 41 to 46 during the war years. So that was our radio experience, the first radio experience. And then, of course, when we moved to Nashville.
What station were you on in Nashville?
WSIX.
And that started in 46?
Yes.
And you were there on that station for how long?
About 3-4 years, I guess it was. And then, well, no, it would have been longer than that.
Because when we drove down to Nashville in 48, 49 for the all-night singing,
yes,
we drove all night the night before, and that morning about 6:30 we turned on the radio, and there you were. And Brock said, "We are going to be at the Ryman Auditorium tonight." So the radio was a very important connection, wasn't it?
Oh, yes. Well, we didn't have TV. What else did we have?
Yeah. And Albert Brumley knew how to find hooks, didn't he?
Oh, he did.
What a hook. Turn your radio on and listen to the music in the air.
Right.
And when we did our, what was it, our fourth video or maybe our third video, we didn't have to look very long for a hook. We said, my lands, there's a hook just waiting, there's a video waiting to be titled, right?
Yes, sir, and it worked, didn't it?
It really worked. Remember, we started in my upstairs at my dad's house, turned on the radio.
Yes,
and
with
there,
all the static.
With all the static. There the Spears were singing. Then we came down here in the Gaither studios to finish it up. And since then, you always sing the second verse.
That's right.
When we started thinking about doing Christmas music with this bunch, quartets did not do a lot of Christmas albums traditionally. In fact, J.D. kidded me, and he said we had a Christmas program every year at the old Memphis Auditorium. And it was like the week before Christmas. I said, did you do Christmas songs? He says, oh, we sing Silent Night maybe or something, but we just did our regular concerts, because people basically wanted to hear the quartet sing what they sing,
Right.
So when we did the first Christmas thing, we said, now what songs have come out of the South from a Christmas standpoint? And everybody said the same song.
Beautiful Star.
Beautiful Star of Bethlehem. Because there weren't that many that came out of the South at that time.
No, that's right.
That were Christmas in nature. But that one was a good one, right?
And not many even this day and time.
True. But that song, even Northerners like that song,
Right.
Beautiful Star of Bethlehem. And so when we sang it, I said, I know who can sing that second verse.
Well, and I get people that request me to sing it in July.
Sure.
So, it's a year-round song as well as Christmas.
Any song that required any pathos in it, in a verse, I always knew where to go. Let Ben sing that verse. You feel lyrics, don't you?
I do. Leroy Abernathy, you mentioned him. He had an expression, see the pictures.
See the picture.
See the pictures. And that's what I try to do. I try to place myself in that story.
Hovey Lister tells a story of one night the Speer family stayed over on a Sunday night after Atlanta concert to sing at his church. He had a Sunday night sing. And somebody had sent him a note that said that James C. Moore, the guy who wrote Never Grow Old, was sitting out in the congregation. And Hovey said, tell him I want him to come up. So he came up and introduced him to Dad Speer. Of course, Dad knew him. They were both old singing school teachers.
Right.
They embraced and talked. And you sang that song, Never Grow Old, with the writer there.
Right.
Hovey said, man, that was a shouting hallelujah time.
Yes, it sure was.
And then your dad recorded that later with a Singing Time in Dixie TV show, right?
Yeah, sometime in the 60s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
64, 65, something like that.
Yeah. And we got a copy of it. And I told you, would there be some way that you could sing with your dad? Now, but this would be like in 2001, 2002. So your dad would have been passed away, for 35 years by then, or 40 years?
66 he died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you went into the studio and sang, matched his tone, and we sang it on our Heaven video.
Right.
Have you had people comment about that?
Oh, absolutely. Almost every night without fail in our concerts, they come and ask for that on a CD.
But here you're singing with your father, and at this stage now, you look a lot like your dad. So,
well, that's a compliment. Thank you.
In the 50s, when I used to come down to Cato Tabernacle at Indianapolis, it was the first time the Statesmen of Blackwoods had come north. And the third group was the Speer family. The fourth group was the Bill Gaither Trio. We weren't very big, but we opened up, and then the Blackwoods sang, and then you were third, and the Statesmen followed you. And I'll never forget, I was backstage when you were on your last song, "I'm Bound for That City." Now that's the song that Dad Speer would sing the second verse. And Hovey told his guys, he said, you better get ready. They're on the last song, and it's time for us to go on. I said, you might as well just sit down for a while because you are in Nazarene country now. And when Dad Speer starts singing, "I'm Bound for That City," we're going to be here all night. And it was just about an all-night singing on that one song, right?
Oh, yes, sirree.
And every night he would sing that song, and the crowds would go crazy when they.
That's right. He admitted that he didn't have a great voice, but he sure had a wonderful spirit.
A great spirit about him.
That's right.
Because he was a teacher, he was a musician, he knew how to write the stuff, and he had 2 sons that could sing better and a wife that could sing better. But I tell you what, there was no spirit like his spirit, right?
That's the truth. I've told a lot of people, a lot of times, all Brock and I had to do was just sing a few songs and wait till we turn it over to Daddy.
The cross made the difference for me. You recorded that when, I think probably right after we first wrote it. And did the Spears sing that one? Was that a big song for you to sing that every night?
It was. We sang it every night for I don't know how many months and years probably.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the cross has been the symbol for the Christian faith for so many years. We wrote that because of the poem, 2 roads diverged in the yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. And the poem ends up, Robert Frost wrote the poem, I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages thence. 2 roads diverged in yellow wood, and I traveled the one less traveled by, and that has made all of the difference. And that poem has always stuck with us. The cross makes the difference in a life.
Absolutely.
Who arranged the old Some Glad Day song?
Well, I guess I did that one.
Boy, that peaked at the right places too, didn't it?
Well, I tried to.
I mean, my mom was just at the right place of her voice, and then Mary Tom would take it up, even higher. Then Joyce Black came along and did the same thing.
Right. Yeah. You know, I delight in when we play some of those old recordings with Mother singing. I delight in telling Rosenell and Mary Tom, you think you're a good singer, don't you? Listen to that.
I can remember you on the reunion video saying, let's turn to page, I forget what the page number was. Let's sing Living in Canaan Land, because I like to sing One Time with Vestal. Remember when you said that?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I do.
And so they got Living in Canaan going, and because the Spears sang where the Spears sang, the Goodman sang over here, Statesman sang here, and everybody was going their separate ways.
Right.
But you wanted to sing that song with Vestal. After that, there were several times where you had a chance to sing several songs with Vestal, like What a Lovely Name. Got to sing that the other part.
Yes.
That was fun, wasn't it?
It sure was. What a singer.
What a singer. But I don't think there's any song you enjoyed singing with her any more than I've Got a Longing.
That's exactly right.
And you had sung it with the Spears too, hadn't you?
Yes, but I usually just did that as a solo.
Yeah.
And then we would come back in on What a Day That Will Be. The group would.
Yeah.
But it was fun singing with Vestal and Johnny Minnick.
Yeah. Well, what happened one night, and it happened spontaneously, she just started singing up there in her range, and then Johnny sang the second part, and you just stood up, because if you don't stand up and do it, somebody else is going to take your job, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Your daddy was what we call a singing school teacher, and you're still carrying that tradition on, right?
Well, that's true, yes, and we have it every year, 2 weeks in July.
In Nashville.
In Nashville.
Yeah. Boy, to see those kids sing, though, 200, 300 kids sing at the top of their lungs.
Oh, yes.
It's just a great thrill, isn't it?
It really is a thrill. And they love it.
Well, it's one of the few places where kids can learn how to sing harmony, sing correctly, learn how to read music.
Right.
And everybody wants to know, how do you get into this kind of thing? Well, this is one place to start, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. And it's Southern gospel music is a unique style. And we think that we can teach anyone with a knowledge of music. We take them from beginners and the very elementary rudiments of music and take them on up to quite advanced, even above my head.
Yeah.
And but take someone that already knows a little bit about music but doesn't know how to apply it and to understand the way that the old masters wrote Southern Gospel Convention songs. And that's what we try to do in that school.
You wouldn't say this about yourself, but I will say it. I still think you're the best harmonic doctor there is. If a chord isn't working in the studio or we can't get something worked out, I'll always give you a buzz and say, I'm in a hole here, Ben. And Ben does it like you do math. I mean, okay, the sopranos need to sing this, the altos, you need a double on the tenors here, and et cetera. Somehow you can work it out. And I still think you're the best on that.
Well, thank you.
Because the music, the harmony that they're singing has to match what the players are playing. And you have great ears. If it isn't matching, you always say, now hold up, wait a minute, this ain't working.
Well, I have to give credit to Daddy.
Yeah.
Because he made us learn it. I have a friend who has a couple of daughters, and I've tried to get them in the singing school. And they will plan to come, and then at the last minute, something will come up. This has happened 3 or 4 years. Well, this last year, the mother said, well, she's got a new boyfriend, and I don't want to make her come. And I said, look, I am where I am today in music because Daddy made me do it.
Ben, one of these days for all of us, it's going to be over. And people are going to say things about us. What do you want them to say about you?
I'd like for them to say that I felt a song. I saw the pictures. I sang with the feeling. Because that's what I try to do.
At your mom's funeral, Dr. Martin was the pastor, right? Ted Martin?
Yes, he was.
And he used unusual scripture from the Song of Solomon.
Mm-hmm.
He said, come away, my love. The winter is past. The rain is over. Spring is here. And the time for singing has begun. And he said, for all practical purposes, Dad Speer, who'd already gone to heaven a year or two before, with all the glories of heaven, was still lonely and was leaning over the battlements of heaven, saying to Lena, his wife, come away, my love. I'm lonely. And you sent us that sermon.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very moving. You could hear Aunt Pearl in the background shouting. You know, it was a great service. And Gloria and I wrote a song on that scripture. And when we did our program in Atlanta, we had you to sing that because you and the family have been such an important part of our lives. And having you in our lives has made our life richer indeed. And I appreciate it.